Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Dan Mason once again. Here I am dealing with another YouTube antagonist, an atheist. Your argument fails on both philosophical and logical grounds. To claim that any potential absolutes in reality are indistinguishable from non-existent is not only a category error, but also an unjustified epistemic assumption. First, the principle of sufficient reason, PSR, demands that everything must have a reason or cause. You cannot invoke the PSR to dismiss absolutes, when the very principle necessitates that the chain of contingent things requires a non-contingent necessary foundation, an absolute. If all contingent realities require an explanation, that chain cannot regress infinitely. There must be a self-existent, necessary being or truth that terminates the chain and provides the sufficient reason for everything else. Otherwise, the entire structure of causality collapses into incoherence. The PSR does not allow you to deny absolutes. It forces you toward them. Second, epistemic parsimony, Occam's razor, is routinely misunderstood. It does not say, assume nothing exists unless it's proven in your lab. It says, do not multiply entities beyond necessity. When the evidence points to the necessity of an absolute, such as the need for a first cause, a grounding for objective morality, or a foundation for logical laws, it is epistemically irresponsible to shave away the very thing that is required to make sense of the system. Parsimony never justifies the exclusion of a necessary entity. It excludes unnecessary ones. You're using it as a sledgehammer to dismiss what you are epistemically required to consider. Third, your argument smuggles in empiricist bias. By claiming that absolutes must be distinguishable or they are equivalent to non-existence, you are arbitrarily limiting the domain of knowability to material, sensory detection. But absolutes, by their very nature, such as God, moral truths, and logical laws, are often not physical, yet they are rationally unavoidable. You can't put the laws of logic in a test tube, yet you presuppose them to make any argument at all. You can't weigh or measure the truth of your own statement, yet you assume its validity. This reveals that your epistemology is self-defeating. You rely on metaphysical truths while denying them with the other hand. Finally, you assume that because absolutes may not be detectable through empirical means, they are unjustified. But this is precisely where transcendental reasoning applies. The question is not whether you can taste, touch, or see the absolute, but whether such absolutes must necessarily exist in order for your reasoning, science, and discourse to make sense. The laws of logic, objective morality, and causality are not optional add-ons. They are the preconditions of intelligibility. Without them, your entire framework implodes into irrationality. The assertion that it's not justified to assume that such absolutes exist collapses under its own weight because the claim itself presupposes the absolutes it tries to deny. You presuppose logic, causality, and truth to make your statement, which means you are standing on the very ground you pretend is missing. In summary, the PSR necessitates the existence of an absolute necessity. Epistemic parsimony cannot eliminate essential entities. The empiricist standard of detectability is philosophically narrow and self-defeating. Transcendental reasoning exposes that absolutes are unavoidable preconditions for argumentation. Your position is not only unsustainable, it is internally incoherent. You are borrowing from a worldview that can justify absolutes while pretending to reject them. That is intellectual bankruptcy, and it is right to call it out as such. Please like, comment, and subscribe to learn more. If you want to help out as we grow, you can stop by my Patreon. https://www.patreon.com/A Global Nation. Thank you and much love. I will see you in the comments.